We have Manish Sonthalia now joining us, Head of Equities-PMS of Motilal Oswal. Manish, hi, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Your thoughts first on some of these auto stocks. Maruti has seen severe derating. Now Escort saying that perhaps things won't be as good as they have been, and the market's punishing that stock. How do you approach some of these names?
Yeah, so the entire auto sector is not doing well. Nothing is selling, so to speak, and we saw the howler numbers come out of Maruti, and more will follow, particularly the two-wheelers, etc. There is margin pressure, there is negative operating leverage. So I think one more quarter and we should be, seeing the bottom in the auto numbers per se. There should be some pickup in demand because 2019 is a good marriage season, so to speak. You have a fairly long marriage season. And valuations are correcting by the day. So, valuations are now coming into pure value zone. So, we are somewhere close to the bottom in most of the auto names is how I would reckon. And see the auto sector is particularly not doing worldwide. You look at China, you look at US. So, it's a synchronized, sectoral fall that is happening. But we have a strong domestic demand. Let's see how the things play out. But I think give it one more quarter and we should be fine.
Okay. Good morning, Manish. Pleasure having you with us. Would you extend this argument to auto ancillaries, or will they have to wait one more quarter to be able to show any troughing out?
Yeah, so, auto anchs are more resilient than the auto OEMs per se because plants cannot be shut down. So, production schedule has to happen. So, I would believe that they should be falling less than what the auto OEMs would be doing particularly. Unless and until there is a long-term concern on the growth trajectory of that particular OEM itself. Otherwise, again, the auto anchs more or less would have seen somewhere close to bottom levels in this sort of a form.
Manish, would you start buying now because these stocks have entered your value zone? Or do you think that one should wait for closer to elections, considering the noise around, there can be, more attractive prices coming your way? How are you smelling the mood, the trend of the market itself?
You see, there's so much of negativity the whole world around. You can't have you making money if everybody is positive or everybody is negative. So currently the environment is that everybody is negative. It's a perfect situation that you have zero volatility, perfect macros, calm markets, and perfect valuations. All things don't happen together. So I would believe that, you could see some more downside, but clearly valuations, given the growth that we are looking at for FY19 and 20, makes a case for buying rather than selling. So short-term downfalls in the market, temporary tactical calls, trade on the downside, cover it up. I don't think those things work, but today we are in a situation where the entire world is negative on a plethora of issues. If everybody is negative, you can't make too much of money out of it.
Okay, well, by the way, a lot of auto stocks are hitting fresh 52-week lows today. So whether it's M&M, Hero MotoCorp, Motherson Sumi, Bharat Forge, all these stocks are sitting at fresh 52-week lows and big volumes as well. Manish, hi, good morning. This is Sonia here. Which has been the bright spot for you this earnings season? A pocket or a stock where you believe that more money can be put to work because earnings have been good?
Yeah, so if you look at the, some of these consumer discretionary names, the volume growth, the top line growth, the profit growth, there seems to be a suggestion that, the GST transition from unorganized to organized might be playing out. Some of the managements allude to this aspect, showing in the top line and the bottom line numbers for this quarter. Some are not so sure. But I would believe that, it was always anticipated that third quarter of FY19, somewhere down the line, the transition from unorganized to organized would start to take place. And maybe just about starting to turn that way. So, consumption names have been fairly good in terms of whatever numbers have been reported so far. So, this is one theme that should be watched out for.
It is a wild swing in the market. Now there is a decent recovery. The mid-caps are almost in flat terrain. They would enter green anytime. So would the Nifty Bank. It's down just about 10 points. And the Sensex in the Nifty also can't be considered really lower. The Nifty is now at 10,650. The mid-cap index has hit green. So it's really a wildly swinging market. 10,620, 625 has proven to give some kind of a support, but let's see how far it holds. At the moment, you can see green in more and more indices, and the advanced declines also. The line will not be, I mean, you don't have too much of a history in the last 15 minutes, but clearly the number of declining stocks are declining. That's just a trend of the last 15 minutes. Now the Nifty is also in the green. How would you approach the financials, Manish? We saw a lot of ground getting lost yesterday, more out of a scare rather than anything real.
Yeah, so, NBFCs are on a back foot. We are clearly seeing the NBFC housing finance companies which have reported numbers. So whether Group Finance or CanFin or DHFL, the disbursements are just not happening, etc. And plus this, SPV of ILFS, that ring fencing of cash flows, I mean, that is put under question. So securitization, whether that's going to come under threat, the entire modus operandi of securitization. So I would believe banks are in a sweet spot, more in that space, more positive on corporate banks as opposed to, retail-focused banks. But you don't have a pure retail-focused banks. All these private sector banks do have decent exposure on the retail as well as the corporate side. But valuations seem to be suggesting more of the likes of ICICI Bank or Axis Bank. So those would be the favorite names in the banking space. And it is advantage banks over NBFCs, clearly, whether in the housing finance space or in the asset NBFC space.
Okay. Manish, Sun Pharma is again back in news. I remember last time you said perhaps, this is a good zone to buy into it. Do you think now we have reached a stage where it's, 380, 400 is a good place to accumulate?
See, keeping aside the corporate governance issues, they will take their own course purely from a business standpoint. There is immense value in Sun Pharma. There is no doubt about it. Of course, markets can pull down the stock due to corporate governance, and it should be that way. But there would be some penalties, fines, etc., that they would have to pay. But if you look at the core business of the company, keeping these issues aside, there's clearly value. So even if you don't assume 7,000 crores of profit for FY21, you assume 6,000 crores of profits for FY21. And we may be closer to 90,000 odd crores market cap. How much downside can you give to a very large company like this? It has almost become 1/3 from what its peak price was. So I'm clearly, positive on this thing.
Okay, positive on that name. By the way, RBL Bank is also coming under further pressure now. The loan growth, remember, came in at a 5-quarter low. So that's something the street didn't like. But Manish, the other stock I wanted to ask you about was Zee Entertainment. A lot has happened here. Fundamentally, though, do you still believe that the business is strong and one should keep the faith?
The business is strong. There is no doubt about it. But we have seen, and not only with Zee, but with any company, where the promoters have pledged their shares, irrespective of fundamentals, these stocks come under pressure in the markets for some rhyme or reason. You take any name in the pledged category where promoters have pledged their shares. So, keeping all that aside, there is fundamental value in the name that you took. But once this whole pledge story gets over, you should see the stock get re-rated. But for the moment, again, this stock may be representing core fundamentals, so to speak.
Okay. Manish, pleasure speaking with you as always.